This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.
Welcome to the Barbados Today Evening Update. It's Tuesday, February 17, 2015. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Our top story. It's official. The winds of change have blown across St. Kitts Nevis. Team Unity, a coalition of opposition parties led by veteran politician Timothy Harris, will form the next government. The supervisor of elections, Wingrove George, this evening announced that Team Unity won 7 of the 11 seats at stake in yesterday's poll, but he gave no figures, saying that they would be provided later tonight. The announcement came on the heels of calls from leaders across the region for the results to be announced after George cut short public announcements on the count in the wee hours of this morning. Outgoing Prime Minister Dr. Denzel Douglas, in conceding defeat, congratulated the incoming government, and he thanked the people for giving him and his St. Kitts Labour Party the opportunity of leading the country for the past 20 years. Here in Barbados, opposition leader Mia Motley, who was keeping a close eye on the outcome of the poll, called for CARICOM and the OECS to implement a mechanism that will ensure that the rights of citizens are not frustrated.
We may well want to relook at these institutions to strengthen them, as well as some of the treaties that we've signed, like the Charter for Civil Society, to ensure that those things which were intended to protect our people can really do so, rather than being viewed by our people as being ineffective in meeting their needs when they most need them. We hope that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis will have these matters settled quickly, that calm will remain among the people, and that indeed they can get on with their lives, for it is not intended for us to become in conflict with the democratic process, but indeed to support it.
In other news, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite is calling on immigration officials to execute their duties without fear. Speaking in Parliament today on changes to the Immigration Amendment Bill, Brathwaite raised concerns that officers are still intimidated by the Caribbean Court of Justice ruling involving Jamaican Shanique Myrie. He says the ruling appeared to have left some officers shell-shocked, but maintains that they cannot be effective if they continue worrying about whether the country will get sued.
I'm not advocating, I'm not encouraging immigration officers not to abide by our laws, but I am saying, and I'm encouraging them, when individuals come in front of them, do not be afraid to interrogate them. Yes, there is a 6 months automatic entry, but you must ask the questions. How can you determine whether or not a person is able to provide for himself if he says he's here for 3 weeks? How can you determine whether or not he's able to provide for himself for 3 weeks if you don't ask him how is he going to survive? If a guy comes and says he wants to spend 4 months, how are you going to determine whether or not he will not be a liability on the state unless you ask the question? So they should not be afraid to interrogate.
To news from the law courts, Malcolm Archer, the young man accused of robbing Scotia Bank on January 27, was back in court today. The 20-year-old of Dover's Hill, Christchurch, who was earlier remanded for robbing the bank of over $13,000 with a gun, reappeared at the District B Court on a possession of cannabis charge. After pleading guilty to the offense, acting magistrate Anthony Blackman fined Archer $500 forthwith with an alternative of 2 months in jail. The fine was not paid. Meanwhile, his mother, Mohandi Droga Pinder, and his stepfather, Adrian Pinder, who were charged for money laundering and handling stolen property, their cases have been adjourned until June 3rd. 2 non-nationals were arrested last night after police netted 466.8 pounds of drugs on a boat on a beach at Derrick's St. James. Lawmen seized 13 polythene bags and 3 haversacks, all containing cannabis, while carrying out an operation at the beach. The foreign registered boat was also seized.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's time for AgriFest again. Come and enjoy the National Agricultural Exhibition on February 27th to March 1st at the historic Queen's Park. Over 300 exhibits on show, highlighting the theme, inclusive agriculture, strengthening linkages, creating synergies. AgroFest 2015, the biggest agricultural exhibition in the Caribbean. Don't miss it.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. From humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
In sports, West Indies captain Darren Sammy was the only Caribbean player sold in the 2015 Indian Premier League auction, which took place yesterday. He was snapped up by Royal Challengers Bangalore for $466,000. Meantime, the West Indies team traveled to Christchurch, New Zealand today for their second round clash in the ICC Cricket World Cup. The team will be resting tomorrow and then resume training on Thursday and Friday at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch ahead of their crucial clash against Pakistan on Saturday. Regionally, Haiti will observe 3 days of mourning for the carnival float victims. At least 16 people died and another 78 were injured after a power line fell on a float in Port-au-Prince on the final day of carnival. Some of the victims were electrocuted while others died in the ensuing panic. The 3 days of mourning will officially begin tomorrow with flags flown at half-mast, and a state funeral will be held on Saturday for the victims. Over in St. Lucia now, where the National Workers Union is seeking clarification from LIAT officials on its plans to cut costs. We get more in this HTS News report.
The NWU has urged the company to carefully consider its options.
So whatever decision the LIAT and its board of directors takes will obviously impact a number of people, not only direct LIAT employees, but taxi drivers, restaurant owners, etc. So whatever decision they make, it has to be carefully thought out.
The layoffs, once completed, will cost the airline up to 22 million EC dollars in compensation and severance packages. However, the National Workers Union warns, given the current economic climate, increased unemployment figures will only restrict fiscal growth.
We cannot afford any more job losses, not only in St. Lucia, in the region. I mean, we're dealing with a really tough financial situation, economically, and any more people on the road is going to be very difficult right now. So, and these people have their families, their commitments, their loans, etc. So we need to sit down and discuss the situation before any rash decisions are made.
On the international scene, a Texas judge today temporarily halted a plan by U.S. President Barack Obama to grant a reprieve from deportation to millions of undocumented people. The ruling now gives a coalition of 26 states time to pursue a lawsuit aiming to permanently stop the orders. But U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder said he is seeking to overturn the Texas ruling. Some parts of the policy were expected to take effect from tomorrow. And that's our evening update, but you can join us again tomorrow morning. Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune in to Channel 101 on Lime TV, as well as Mix 96.9 FM to get all the latest news and sports. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? #sexy.